Thanks for joining Metaverse HQ here with MetaverseGG. Life is better with buddies. So, thanks for joining. As I said, can we first just kick off by introducing your team to the audience? Who do we have from MetaverseGG with us today, and what are your usernames and roles in the project?
Yeah, so I'm Yang. I'm on this account right now. I'm the CEO of Endgame. We're typically a game studio, and we build like real time multiplayer games. And then I'll let Sumi introduce herself, but she's our Web3 lead.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me well?
We can.
Okay, cool. So I'm Sunmi. I'm the Web3 lead at Endgame. Before joining Endgame, I was at Meta. I was an engineer on the crypto team at Meta for about 3 years, working on the infra for like our layer one, and I recently joined Endgame about 4 months ago.
That's wonderful. Thank you. So, Young and Sunmi, can you talk us a little bit through how you met? What brought you into NFTs? How did you find your way here?
Yeah, my team and I, before we were even making games, we actually dabbled with making decentralized apps in January 2018. So we made a couple of apps. I think the biggest one we had was this. It was basically like Zed Run, but it was with rockets. It was called Ether Rockets. We launched in January, and then of course after you know January 2018, the crypto markets kind of went down, and we were a little bit discouraged, but it was a lot of good learning experience, and we went back to just making games. So how we met Sami is, I guess we technically met at Mainnet last year in New York, and I was just curious what she was working on, and we had good synergy, and so we brought her on to continue our journey in Web3.
That's fantastic, and it does lead us into the next question that I wanted to dig into. Looking at Metaverse GG, looking at your socials, you can see Endgame X referenced a couple of times. So this project has come out of that company. Can you talk a little bit about Endgame X, how it relates to Metaverse GG, give everyone a bit of history to the company?
Yeah, for sure. Just to give an idea, the parent company is called In-Game Interactive. We are a game studio. We raised money, our seed round a couple years ago from investors such as Makers Fund, um, Supercell, some cool guys like Scooter Braun, who represents Justin Bieber, Ariana, etc., Jimmy Ivy, who started Beats by Dre, Interscope, and a bunch of other gaming people like Kevin Lim from Twitch, David Helgeson of Unity, etc. So it was a pretty stacked team, investor um, group in terms of preparing our company for gaming. We've since raised a couple of unannounced rounds. We might announce it soon, but how we got into Web3 is, we see the clear synergies behind, between Web3, crypto, blockchain, and games. And to be blunt, we're a little bit cautious about a lot of the stuff that's going on, just because there's a lot of things that we've seen fall apart. So we're pretty careful with that. But the one thing that drew us into Web3, from my personal experience, growing up playing games, I could only afford kind of free to play games, and I would play a lot of these free to play MMOs. And usually these are people in other countries, so like South America, Brazil, Middle East, things like that. And what brought us back to Web3 recently is we saw how important, not necessarily blockchain and crypto is to first world countries, right? Like the US, Western Europe. But we saw how important it was for regions like Southeast Asia, uh, South America, Africa, Middle East, because their currency is, very volatile. And, crypto, despite its volatility, is even more stable than their own countries. Um, Currency. So, anyways, long story short, people are buying game items, right? In and outside of game via crypto, and we saw that as an additive experience, right? I don't think Web3 replaces Web2 things at all. We just saw it as a very additive experience that it's a no brainer for any game company to at least explore. So that's what we're doing now.
That's impressive. So, true OGs. It's really interesting to hear the history there. So, if we look at the collection, MetaverseGG as an NFT, can you give the audience a bit of a snapshot of what it is? What are the NFTs that are going to be minted, and what can the customers expect from your project in the short term?
Yeah, for sure. Just to start off, we started on this project almost 8 months ago, and it's been through tens, if not 100, iterations of what it looks like, all the polish that we've been going through, and what we plan to have for it. So it's been a long process so far, but the idea is. We see what's out in the space and we really love what's been successful, right? We see, Bored Apes, we see Azuki, we see, punks, and now Moonbirds. And the space, just like gaming and entertainment, anything else, it's huge. There's room for everything, right? So while Bored Apes kind of have this grungy niche look, and Punks has this pixel, and the Meebits have the voxel look. We're going for this very, I guess, PG, really broadly appealing looking, I guess you could say like Disney or even Pixar esque aesthetic. And we just feel like that's a demographic that hasn't really been catered to in a way that bleeds quality and things like that. So that's why we chose what we're doing. In terms of what to expect from the first launch, we haven't formally announced it yet, but it's pretty obvious. The first collection is actually called Buddies, and it's all under the MetaverseGG umbrella. So what you get at first are these static um, NFT PFPs, I guess. And behind the scenes, what we're doing is we're creating an animated 3D rigged version of these 3D models. They're all rendered in 3D, but we're making them accessible for the future in games and other quote unquote metaverses. So that's what you can expect down the road. Between here and let's say mint date and 5 months from now, we have a lot of stuff that we can't really reveal yet, but they're already quite a few of them are 50% underway. There's future drops, there's future utility, and we've teased a little bit about it, but there's going to be a world coming. We're still polishing a lot of it, so what you see is actually 5 months old from the video you see of this very Sims-like 3D world. But yeah, we're constantly polishing it, and that's kind of what you can expect in a very TLDR way.
Gotcha. Thanks, gang. So, um, how similar would this be to, say, a project like Genies? Is this a social play, or is this much more about creating characters that are going to represent people inside other worlds in your own world?
Um, um, yeah. So I think there's a lot of avatar plays, there's a lot of metaverse plays. I think for us it's just creating a very cool IP, a very cool brand, so Buddies, that really resonates with a lot of people, all different age or demographic spectrum. And where it differentiates from something like Genies or any other avatar kind of things is we're really trying to make this IP stand out, right? So in the beginning we're not going to do much customization. Down the road we'll definitely have it, but right now you getting your Buddies, that's what it looks like, and they're all going to be quite unique, versus some of the other projects that have no more than 100 traits, for example. We already have over 500, and that's excluding a lot of the color combinations as well. So we're really making Buddies like everybody will look pretty unique, right? I think we all see collections where like they're nice, but if you look closely, I think half of them kind of look the same. So we want to build the IP, via the community, so that it's very instantly recognizable, right? So that way we can do partnerships with Web2 brands that we're starting to look at already, and things like that. Does that make sense?
It does, thank you, and a little bit of alpha there with some of the collaborations in the Web2 space. So, can we expect any type of IRL tie-ins? Is there going to be a physical or a digital play?
Yeah, we'll do like some basics, right? Like merch and potentially like vinyl figurines, things like that. But in terms of yeah, so yeah, to answer your question, yeah, we'll have some physical tie-ins for sure, and we're working on some brand partnerships as well.
Awesome, that's exciting. That gives us a little bit more of an understanding of what we're seeing. So, those characters on the socials look really fantastic. I think people would be excited to rep them for sure. It was one of the things that stood out to me. So on the roadmap, then what I'm hearing is there's going to be utility in the form of accessibility with other platforms, integration into other worlds. Is there going to be any other standout roadmap utility you would want to highlight? Any other sort of, alpha that might interest Metaverse HQ?
Yeah, Sami, did you want to take this one?
I think in terms of, so just to clarify, when we mentioned metaverse worlds, we don't currently have any plans of integrating like our NFTs into other worlds. We are more focused on building out our current metaverse experience. So just wanted to clarify that really quick. In terms of additional utility, I think what's worth highlighting is that we want buddies to essentially be an identity, your identity in the metaverse that we're creating. You basically, like, as you enter like a metaverse, like a Web3 universe, you need a way to identify and represent yourself, right? And the key to that is your buddy's NFT. So once you mint your unique buddy, you now hold like the key to entering the universe that we're building out for everyone. Just one like very concrete way, like in terms of like more of a technical discussion, is that we like built out like something called Metaverse ID, which is like a proprietary like social login system that we've built that lets you link everything related to your MetaverseGG experience under like a single account. So if you later, if you like go into like our allow list sign up, once like that becomes public, the first thing you have to do is create a Metaverse ID. So later, when you have your ID, you can link your wallet, your socials, have your account display all the NFTs you own or any property you own in the Metaverse. So remember, we are at our core as a gaming studio as well. So imagine if we launch games in the future, um, and you could use your ID to like access those games, like early access, essentially serve as something like a Steam ID. So there's a lot of things we can do once an identity, like the buddy identity, is established in like a broader universe. So that's like, and like, I guess an added utility that we could bring in.
Fantastic, and absolutely something, and I'm excited to hear that there is some form of gaming on the roadmap. I was hoping to get to that. So, being, as you say, a gaming company at your core, we can expect some interesting developments down the track in that regard, which is great. But talking about the socials, so you mentioned you're going to have the buddy as kind of the home base for all of your socials. What sort of a community does MetaverseGG want to create here? And can you talk a little bit about what you're doing to make people want to spend time inside your metaverse?
Yeah, I think, we really want to just create a pretty playful, optimistic, and just like happy community. I guess that's pretty generic. That's what everybody else wants to build. But we want to enable them through, the apps that we'll be creating. So while we haven't revealed it yet, we'll be revealing it pretty soon. You'll see what I mean. In fact, one of the pre-mint um activities, I guess, is it's not a full-blown game, but you'll see it's an actual game, right? And you'll see how that ties into the social community. It's multiplayer, it's social, it's real time. So before you even mint, our NFTs, if you wanted to, you'll start getting that feel of community right then and there in a real time game. That's whose main purpose is actually just to get potentially whitelisted. And so like the whole part is, we all grew up, in these online communities playing games and things like that. And at the end of the day, you can talk to friends via, WhatsApp or iMessage and things like that. There's no need for, we don't need to jump in a sandbox for me to talk to Jacob here and talk crap. So like there has to be a reason, right? The game has to be retentive. It has to be fun. It has to be something that people want to show each other. So like what we're building later, there's multiple games we're building. The one main one for this particular project, as Sami alluded to, is this MetaverseGG world. And it's not going to be something where it's like League of Legends or, Call of Duty, where you're actively playing something. It's something that everybody's familiar with. Think like The Sims, where you really unleash your creativity and build stuff. And, if you recall, I don't know how many of you guys play Sims. I assume most of you guys, if not all. Um, when you first go into Sims, you're building your own little small house and you're decorating the walls and things like that. And one of the first things you want to do is like take a screenshot or invite people to come over and check out what you've built. So we really want to unlock that, and that seems really, you know, that feeling is really underutilized at the moment from what we see in Web3 projects, right? So that's kind of like the community we want to build, just people building relationships within this game that we enable them in order to do um, those kind of things.
Okay, that's exciting, and that's really going to be built out as well over time. So I know there's not too much that can be shared on the spaces today, but look, there is a lot being put on the roadmap. So I think there's a lot to unpack. Um, we talked a little bit before around the art and how you were going for something that is a little bit more relatable, and these are super relatable. Can you give a bit of insight into your artist, where the art direction came from, and what sort of attributes and rarities can we expect on reveal? Because you did mention that these are going to be a collection of highly diverse PFPs and characters. So I want to give you sort of free reign to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I mean, we've always built art somewhat like this, just very happy, optimistic looking, generally broadly appealing kind of art. And that usually just goes back to, what typical, you know, animated films style their art direction in, right? So Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, etc. And so yeah, that was the inspiration behind it. And in terms of what to expect in terms of traits, I mean, um, yeah, I think it might be easier for you to ask me what's not in there, and I can tell you. But we have everything, right? It's all about polishing and making sure they look good. For every 10 things we create, whether it's an asset or like a material, let's say like gold or something, we basically only choose 1 out of 10 just because we want everything to look really neat. But yeah, in terms of like something cool is, like a full gold buddies, I guess, with your props and things like that. And there's a lot more exciting stuff coming in. And you'll see if you follow the socials.
Yeah, no worries. And do you have a team of artists? Is there one core sort of artistic design lead? How is the team structured around that?
Yeah, so I think this is where our advantage is. We're a company of 30 people. We actually have 10 full-time artists on this. Multiple animators, multiple 3D artists, multiple 2D artists, UI designer, things like that. That's just on an art team. So yeah, in terms of how robust our art team is, it's probably up there in terms of um, team size and I guess caliber. So just to give you an idea on that.
That's awesome. And with the collection, this initial release, are we looking at, and I hate, I hate to use the word, but I will here, a Genesis collection? Is there going to be additional releases? Is there going to be seasonal content? How does the roadmap play into the art and the characters?
Yeah, I think buddies will be like the eventually we want this world, right? MetaverseGG to be accessible to everybody. So you can think of buddies as like a like the collector's edition, right? So we have 10,000 and you're going to get these special unique buddies and they'll earn you perks throughout, whether it's, for the metaverse world or future games that we make under the company. But yeah, so you get 10,000 unique buddies. Later, when we open it up to everybody, there will be, more accessible customizations and things like that. But the original 10,000 will, I guess, be the Genesis collection, right? And yeah, in terms of seasonal content, they're not going to be something that's just like a derivative of buddies. They're going to be something that's like a brand new theme that makes sense and really complements the buddies in a natural way. So you guys will have to see. That could be in the form of a animal companion or things like that. And then, of course, everything we do, they're going to be reflected in game. So there's going to be an animated version of it in, the MetaverseGG world.
I like this. So you're going to have an ecosystem that gets built out over time. These buddies are your entry into the core metaverse and sort of a place for all of the socials to be centralized. And then from there, you're going to be expanding the NFT collection in ways that make sense by bringing in new content, new games, new whatever, and collections that fit within that specific expansion to your ecosystem. That's my understanding. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So as Sami mentioned earlier, um, we built our whole, I think most of the people here have seen like premint.xyz, right? That's what Moonbirds use and a lot of other companies. We built our whole, we built our own essentially with much more features, and obviously it's proprietary, and it's called Metaverse Id. So your connection with this world starts before you even register. Well, I guess starts right when you register for a chance at the whitelist, and it's not something that you just use for pre-mint solely for the purpose of minting. It's going to be your login. It's going to be your identity throughout, right? So you use Metaverse ID to accrue. You'll see points that help you gain a better chance at getting into the whitelist, and it's also your access to what I mentioned, the pre-mint game. It's also going to be your access to future community activities and things like that, and it's just this whole robust ecosystem that we're going to build out starting now, and it'll make a lot more sense when everything comes into play. But yeah, buddies is essentially your passport into MetaverseGG, which is a whole ecosystem of various things that's going to come out.
Fantastic. All right. Well, can we now maybe look at the mint? So, is there any information that can be shared around the mint day? Is this going to be on ETH? Is there a tentative timeline for launch? Do you have a mint price? How much can be shared today?
Yeah, no, so we haven't even revealed the project fully yet. So everybody here is early. We haven't determined the mint structure yet, but we'll reveal that, uh, much inadequate time before the actual mint date. Of course, it's going to be on ETH because we believe that's the best way to onboard lots of people that may have never, bought an NFT before. So yeah, it's going to be on ETH, and we're doing a lot of things to kind of reduce gas prices and things like that on our end.
Yeah, I know people will definitely appreciate that for sure. Um, it's an interesting space that moves very quickly. Well, look, thanks for the answers so far, and I do want to provide some time for the audience to ask some questions. But before we do open things up a little bit more, um, we are early, as you say. There's, I guess, limited information at the moment on the socials, and I can see the website's getting built out. What's the plans for releasing content in the short term? Where can people go to find out more about the project?
So in the short term, definitely stick to the Twitters. We are pretty active on Twitter right now. We're trying to do almost a daily post just to keep everyone excited about the project and continue to share with their friends. But we are working really hard to get our website launched very soon, hopefully this week, as well as open up the Discord. So just keep a lookout. Like we will announce it on Twitter. So if you just follow us on Twitter, you'll have the most up to date information.
Awesome, thank you. I know there's going to be a lot of interested parties from Metaverse HQ watching, so we will find our way in, no doubt. Uh, once this platform is live and everybody's in doing their thing, is there the intent to integrate any form of guild mechanics? How will people sort of self-organize inside your metaverse?
Um, yeah. So we have a well, Jacob has seen some of the demo. He's not allowed to talk about it, but there's a lot of social aspects to it, right? So the the whole premise of this world, right? It's not necessarily a game. It's a social world, this social platform. Is that there's a lot of things that Web3 participants are doing, and we're relying on Web2 products to do it on, right? Whether it's Twitter or Discord. So we're kind of replicating a lot of the social functions that you see on these Web2 products within this metaverse. I guess it's this app that we're building, and yeah, you'll be able to build. I guess have clans or groups later to self-organize. You'll have friends. There'll be permissions. So let's just say hypothetically, we did land, we did housing, and it's like The Sims or Animal Crossing where you're building your own world. There will be permissions, and this part is actually done, right? There's actually set permissions for making your, again, hypothetically, if you had a home, you can set your permissions now to be private, public, only your friends can join, things like that. So it's a pretty robust, again, social system. And this carries over from our gaming infrastructure, right? Where we had to build cross platform games. So the app's going to be available on web browser because that's where a lot of Web3 people are. It's going to be cross platform, cross play with a PC client, mobile as well. So yeah, just to give you an idea of how people will be able to meet each other. There's going to be public spaces in it as well. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of social um, activity basically within this world that we're building.
Awesome. So we're getting a social metaverse, we're getting gaming, we're getting PC and mobile integration. This is big. It's really interesting to talk about.
I do want to add on quickly that when I think in the crypto space we talk about gaming, people immediately just think about play to earn, and things like that. I do want to caution just saying, like, not, in our opinion, not everything has to be play to earn, right? And lead to like the guild structure and things like that. So I think we will let the ecosystem like play out naturally on its own. And if people socialize in a way that creates groups of certain types, I think that's like really exciting to see. But we're not trying to push the project in specific directions, such as like having like play to earn elements, even if it like doesn't fit in. Trying to create guild structures. We're not trying to force certain mechanisms or structures into something that doesn't fit. When we make certain decisions, it's going to be very deliberate and based on like the type of behavior we're seeing naturally coming from the community. So just wanted to highlight that a little bit.
Thank you for that, Sami. That was going to be exactly my next question.
Oh,
Is
was
there
it?
token? Is there play to earn? Because, well, I completely appreciate what you're saying, and you go down that path too quickly, and the typical burdens that plague a lot of NFT projects start to kick in. So it's not being
Yeah.
discounted, but you're going to let the community kind of influence the path that gets taken.
Yeah, I think leading up to a token is just like a very natural thing to do for a lot of Web3 projects, but we don't want the token to weigh us down, or we don't want to prioritize it when there is like no utility or it just doesn't make much sense. So if there's like a natural utility as well as a need for a token, then that is definitely something that we will consider and implement, and it's really not that hard to integrate into our system. But we won't like rush into just launching a token just because that's just what Web3 projects do. So yeah.
It does make sense, and I think a lot of projects can tend to jump into a token for essentially, value for the token raise. Sometimes they need that to kind of boost the coffers and get them moving. So it's positive to hear that you are not, you don't have a requirement for that. It's not something necessary for the project to be a success, which is, really positive, and I don't know that people take that seriously enough. So, I love hearing it. Can we maybe, is there anything you can share around maybe the first game that is on the whiteboard, spaghetti on the wall, ideas only? Is there something bubbling that you could maybe give a little bit of alpha about, or are we really going to have to wait and see what's coming?
I think we. Oh, you wanna go?
Yeah, I think you'll see it soon. So I don't want to spoil the surprise or mess up our explanation of it. But yeah, there's something coming. It's not necessarily a game, right? It's a world. So like it's like, would you consider Animal Crossing or The Sims really as a game? Technically, they are, but they're not like I mentioned, right? Like League of Legends, it's not competitive. It's not like Clash of Clans or Clash Royale, things like that. It's a certain type of game. It's a very social, very unleash your creativity, um, almost UGC like kind of experience that really anchors itself on social connectivity. So that's the first, I guess, project that'll be coming out of this buddy's MetaverseGG um, universe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
just think
great.
of it as like a visual layer, 3D layer on top of your like typical 2D social experience that's like flat on screen.
That is an interesting concept. And with the Web 2 integration, can we expect there's some Web 2 integration from a social perspective as well, whether it be, Twitter or Twitch into that, or will these be separate things?
We're not necessarily exploring bringing in existing social media like Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, etc. into our world. But we want this experience to be like social front and center, and for the community aspect to be front and center. So there we will be enabling like very easy interactions between the users that are online and such, but it won't be like a typical like a timeline feed type of thing integrated, unless everyone thinks that would be a really cool feature and would love to see it in our world, in which case we would consider it.
No worries. So for those listening who might not have been here at the start, I can see, Yang, your profile picture. Is that one of the PFPs that we can expect to mint?
Yeah, it'll be one of the many. Yeah.
That's awesome. So
I can say the gun is definitely one of my favorite props.
and that's kind of something that I'm interested in is with the attributes, with the clothing and other accessories that are going to be on your PFP. Are there any branding plays here? Is the branding going to be specific to MetaverseGG, or are you going to be incorporating maybe projects or other things into that branding?
So the branding aspect is, I think, really interesting, as well as like a core piece of what we're trying to do. Like there is a reason we very deliberately chose buddies to have human representation, right? People like say in the metaverse, like I want to be something completely different, something I can't be in the real world. But the fact of the matter is that people like naturally gravitate towards things they're like familiar with, aka the human form, right? So if you can be a cooler version, if you can be a person in the metaverse, but a cooler version of yourself, it's easier for you to just like form an emotional attachment to your like Web3 identity, right? So that's kind of like the branding play that we want to do. We want to make this identity for buddies like really strong in terms of like having being a representation of yourself on the Web3 world. And from there, you can see when we have like a community, a world of people who are natively Web3, you can see like all these retail brands, like Web2 retail brands like Nike, Adidas, and more recently like Dolce and Gabbana, for example. They're all trying to get into Web3. They're really excited and eager to get in. If there is a metaverse with a really strong community of people who these brands call like quote unquote crypto people, that they know have very strong spending power, that's like the audience all of these brands are dying to get exposure to, right? So you can imagine like the level of partnership interest that could come in for buddies if all goes well. So like to give like example, like fashion is a very natural collaboration point for us. That could be some collaboration point of buddies as well as with certain like fashion brands. Um, that could be a very natural point for partnerships. And again, all of this goes back into like how we want to build up like a strong IP and a brand for buddies.
Yeah, that's great. And with that brand being built out and bringing a community in that help define that roadmap with you guys, how are people going to be able to use their characters and the IP that is created in their own way? So, will people that mint the NFTs own the rights to those NFTs? Will it be a shared ownership? How's that going to work?
Yeah, so we're still thinking that through. So no set answer there. But we haven't solidified, whether it's like CC0 or things like that yet. But we'll be pretty loose in terms of people utilizing their stuff, right? It's not going to be like you can't make a T-shirt out of, your buddies, etc. But yeah, that's still TBD.
All right, no worries. So, I do, as I said, I wanted to give the audience a chance to ask some questions if they've got them of the team. So, if you do have any questions, just throw your hand up. Wonderful co host today, Chad, is going to help me bring people up and chat to the team. So, if anyone does, just throw your hand in the air. But I did want to thank the team for being here and talking through their project with us today. It is early, and we are going to get a whole lot more information between now and mint. But a lot of exciting content seems to be bubbling away there. So it's good stuff. How are you finding the NFT market at the moment? Do you think that we are entering another period of bullishness? What's your sentiment on where we're at?
Um, I think it's very exciting, right? So, like I mentioned, we dabbled in Web3, over 4 years ago in January 2018, and a lot has changed since then. I think I'm personally really excited for what we see now, right? I think we all remember, 6, 7, 8 months ago, or even as recent, like 3 months ago, there's a ton of, for lack of a better word, shitty projects, right? And that actually, that was so much noise that quality projects or quality teams uh, got discouraged, or yeah, they simply got discouraged because there was so much noise they had to cut through on top of building their own product, on top of marketing their own product. So I think right now it's a really good time for NFTs in general, just because people are gravitating towards more quality stuff, things that take time to build, and doing more research in terms of what teams are promising, what projects are promising. So I think in terms of people actually legitimately building stuff, um, it's a great time, better than ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think we're seeing a flight to quality, which is really benefiting projects that deserve that attention. So I see Jacob has been brought up, and we'll definitely touch base after this. I'm interested to hear the goss on what you saw in that demo. But if you've got a question, join us, Jacob, and speak up.
Yeah, Yang's been trash talking me, so I had to come up here and clear my name. But yeah, when game? I can ask a more detailed question, but more just when game.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that a lot of hurdles that we have to go through now, right? So we want to make sure that we continue doing our outreach and marketing to the right amount of people. I think you're in one of our discords where you see the core people that we're building up, right? So we've been building up for the past few months. I think the game, the world, the app, will come sometime this year. You've seen the state of it. We're one of our biggest disadvantages is that we're kind of perfectionists. So we're on like iteration number 5 of this app that we're building. It's been quite tedious, and my team members hate me. But yeah, like a lot of the tech is ready. We're just kind of solidifying what we want to present, how we want to present it, and the flow of everything. So you could definitely expect something. I guarantee that in a much shorter timeline than every other project in this space. Simply, we're kind of cheating because, as I mentioned, we already built it. But we definitely want to accelerate things to show what a quality Web3 project should be. I guess not to sound cocky, but I
Can you hear me?
think we all need that, right? Yeah. What's up?
Sorry, Jacob, you're getting rugged at the moment,
Oh
mate.
yeah, I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, mate.
Nice. Okay, yeah. So I didn't get to hear the very, very end of that, but I think, you got to my bigger question at large, which is like, you're clearly very methodical, and calculated with how you want to release things, and making sure everything's super polished before. So, and that's what I was going to ask you, just in terms of, is that what's the holdup? Is it the perfectionism, or is there anything else that you're doing it this way for X reason, or is it mainly that?
No, it's not mainly that. I think it just takes time to get the right people on board. Um, so yeah, we're just trying to
Hello,
gather
can you
a
hear me?
core group of buddies.
We can hear you. Just give us a moment. We'll wait for MetaverseGG to finish up what they're covering, and then we'll throw to you for questions. And
Yeah.
Sounds
So I
good.
guess yeah, we're just trying to be very methodical, and there's a lot of things. There's a lot of moving parts. Um, I'm pretty sure that our pre-mint experience will have more content than a lot of post-mint experiences out there. So yeah.
Shots fired, baby.
I mean, look, unless you just want like some event, we could pay 50 grand to have some party at a club. Okay. We could pay, 10 grand to have, 10,000 t-shirts made with bad embroidery stitching. Or you can let us build a tech, right? And which you'll see very soon, within the next week or so. So, there's only like 20 people in here. Okay. Everybody here, don't tell people I was talking shit, but if you wanted to, that's fine. Yeah.
Yang Unleashed. I love it. We need like a late night Yang Fud show or something. You can partner with Bando. He loves Fud as well. But yeah, no, really.
Don't
Really
encourage him.
really appreciate your time. You guys are awesome. Definitely very excited for what you're building based on what you've shown me. So that's kind of why, I want it yesterday, because I know you can do it. But, I'll respect your timelines. But as a gamer, I'm excited.
Yeah. I think the other reason is like, we could have launched it, right? We could have launched it months ago. It wouldn't be as nearly as good as it will be when we do launch it. I do think that the NFT market the user base needs to mature a little, right? There also needs to be more people. So like, imagine we launched it in the middle of like, November. There's a ton of noise. There's a bunch of crappy projects, and it just gets drowned out, right? So like, you know, um, right now is a great time because the dust has kind of settled. People are sick of projects that don't deliver, and yeah, we're just taking it slow because we do think that the overall user base of crypto stuff is continuously growing, and that allows us to have more time finding the right people to help us grow it.
awesome. So we've got Yang the Savage now. I love it. I was laughing in the background. I sound very similar in VC. I share a lot of your sentiments. So, thanks, Jacob. Was there anything else you wanted to ask, or you good?
Nope, I am all good. Thank you, guys.
Zan, thanks for joining.
Hello.
Over to you now, Zan. If you want to ask your question, please.
Yes, please. I wanted to ask regarding the Gmail sign up before because I did sign up since last year and also recommended to my friends. I think I have 5 friends already on board. So what will happen then if I see on the Twitter that there's a new site coming? So what will happen to the past people who sign up on their Gmail?
Yeah, I take that. So the email list before that was for the wait list. Basically, we just wanted people to subscribe to um our email essentially, so that if there are any updates to the buddies or the MetaverseGG project launching, then we would just send you an email and be like, hey, remember you signed up on our wait list. Now we have new stuff coming, so check it out. We will have our new site launch, and the new site is going to have it's going to outline exactly how you can be whitelisted, which will include like inviting your friends to certain things or playing like a certain game, things like that. So we implemented a lot of like creative ways to for people to be able to like get a whitelist and be involved in our community. So once the site launches, once the new site launches, I think it'll be really clear as to how you can participate. So yeah, thank you so much for being in early and looking out for our project.
Yeah, I've been following this since last year, but I have a problem though. I changed a lot of my username, my ID, even in Discord because that was being compromised, and also here in Twitter. So back then, this is my new account now. This is my new ID. So I hope I'm not late about this project.
Yeah, of course not. I think everyone here is actually very, very early. So
Yeah, and
no
for those
worries
that
there.
I assume for those that may have changed accounts or there may be conflicts between what they had before and what they have now. Once the socials are open, once the Discord's there, Sunmi, Yang, there's going to be opportunity for people to reach out, maybe raise a ticket if they've got an issue. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. And there'll be, support on the Discord as well.
Awesome. So Zan, sounds like you'll have a path to sort of reach out if you have any issues once they release a new website and you've got any access concerns. But thank you for the question. So did you have anything else you wanted to ask, Zan, or you're okay? I will take silence as consent. So is there anyone else that wants to ask any questions of the team today? This is your opportunity. We're running close to the hour now, so I want to let the MetaverseGG guys get about their day. If you do, raise your hand. We'll give you a short moment. That does look to be it. So wrapping up then, thank you to Yang and Sunmi for joining us. It was a really interesting conversation. This is a project that, after us talking through it, I'm very excited about. For anyone that may have joined late, to summarize quickly, MetaverseGG is going to be releasing a PFP character collection at some point in the very near future, and that's going to get you access to their metaverse, which is going to get built out over time. The community is going to be along on that journey and help to influence maybe some of the things that the team do and don't do. There's some interesting branding plays here. The team behind this is going to, is a gaming organization, so there's going to be some interesting plays there. So look, from my perspective, stay tuned, hook into the socials and make sure you're around for the ride. I'm going to be there with you guys. So that's a wrap. Anything you wanted to close with, Yang or Sumi, before we end the spaces today?
No, that's it. Just stay tuned on our Twitter if you're interested. And of course, thanks to the Metaverse HQ team, besides Jacob. Just kidding. Thanks, Jacob, too. And thanks for everybody listening in. We hope you guys join us on this adventure.
No worries. Appreciate you guys, and best of luck. We will see you in the Discord and on the socials.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.